What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm using my microphone again. Hopefully it sounds good. This video is pretty much just the update and what I'm mining now. I know it's been around a month since I made my other video, but with the whole market kind of being the way it is, and Cubic had a halving in between the month that I've recorded, yield and like profits are way down. So actually QTC happened also, which we probably all mined already, and those profits are gone. And me personally, I'm doing CLORE hosting right now. It's been going pretty decent. I've been pretty consistently rented on my dual epics, and my single epics are kind of, they'll get rented for like a couple days and then not rented for a few more days. But the dual epics I've just had constantly rented. And I did try Octaspace on this 7v12, and as well as a dual 7b12 with a 5090, and they barely got rented. I don't know if it was a bandwidth issue. Some people were saying Octaspace relies somewhat more heavily on bandwidth, so I've just decided to move all of these rigs onto CLORE. My case is off. This one is apart. I took 5070s out of this case and distributed them among these 8 epic rigs, as well as 2 5070 Ti's and the one 5090 FE that's on this dual 7B12 rig. And that I've had rented probably for the past 2 months nonstop, and I've been charging around $8 to $11 or even $12 for the rental. And my timers I do for 2 weeks, so I think it's 336 hours. So once someone locks it in for $9, honestly, for 2 weeks and potentially low power, that's fine with me. They're mostly using the CPU, and the GPU is kind of around 250 watts, so really not that much wattage. This single epics with 5070s, I've been charging around $2.80 to $3.20 per day, and it's kind of hit or miss if they get rented or if people drop them. So I'll just adjust the price accordingly until I get rented. Currently I have them at 2.8 and I haven't gotten rented yet, which is a little frustrating. It's not so bad. They just mine Zealous and Zephyr during their downtime. The 5070 Ti's, which is here and over there, I have them. Those I've been charging $3 to $3.20, like minimum. Yeah, I've not gone below $3 for the 70 Ti's. Earlier, right before making this video, I've put another 5070 on here just to see if maybe that increases chances of being rented. Since I still have 3 in here, I could easily spread them out. Yeah, so that I have it listed for $350 for 24 hours. I think, or 330, being that it's 2 GPUs. So we'll see if they do get rented. Storage, nothing fancy. Some of these have really cheap, like 128 gigabyte M.2s that I just got in bulk, and a few of them have this Chinese brand Fang Shang 512 gigs and a Patriot P300. So maybe eventually I'll swap all these out to like better M.2s, but I haven't noticed any difference in terms of rental time versus like the more expensive M.2s versus like the cheaper no-name like OS drives that come in like people's work computers or something. So they've kind of been rented about the same amount of time and like frequency. So for CLORE storage, I don't think matters as much. Yeah, you can also power limit in CLORE, which is nice. So the 5070s are at 175 and the 5070 Ti's are at 250 watts and 5090 400. So you have a little bit of wiggle room in terms of being able to power limit your stuff. Anything below puts you in like the low power / like efficiency market, because you're asking to run a different profile than what they provide, which you have to pay CLORE to do. So that kind of stinks. I think that's about it. In terms of setting it up, all you really have to do is run the CLORE mass onboarding flight sheet and that's really easy to set up. And you just run it as you would any other miner, and it'll install everything. And then if you run into errors, it like Docker installs, it actually tells you what you need, and you just refer to the docs, and it's in there just to download it and get you up and running. So I'll actually try and cut this into the video that I'm planning to do on my computer and just combine both of these, because I want to just show the like a example flight sheet slash the docs overview. So it's just super easy to set up. Just run a flight sheet, done. And overall, we're using around 4,000 watts with everything here, and that's also with some stuff mining. That stuff is mining at low power just because I'm trying to be more efficient, so I have everything downclocked real low, and then whatever is mining, being rented, is using whatever wattage it wants because it's almost double what I pay for electric, so it's worth it for me to run them that way. So I will see you guys at the computer. We are at my desktop, and we're just in HiveOS right now. And as you can see, these are all my rigs that I have. These are all Epics with mix of 5070s and 5070 Ti. All the ones with dashes are rented, which happens to be all of my Epics. And these are two Minisform rigs. One of them has been running for a while, and the one I just had to reboot and build a new one of, actually. But going into these rigs, most of them I've tried to kind of keep single Epics and dual 5070s together, and dual Epic single 5070, just because it kind of works out better, I think. If we go into Hive Shell, there's kind of a mix of stuff that people use. This one here, Hashcat, as well as some 1.0 miner. You can see 1.0 here. Doesn't quite tell us what they're mining. I would assume Qubit coin, but that is also just an assumption. We'll just look at some other ones here. I zoned out. I thought I lost a rig. That was really weird looking. It was in a different order that I'm used to. This one here is mining THT on mine-n-crush. And again, GPU, you don't really get a whole lot of information. The 7B12, I think, is also running Hashcat. Oh yeah, it was. CPU also. Sometimes I had some of these running BTCW miners. I'm not sure which ones those are. Let's see. Potentially the duals here. Yeah, so this one here, BTCW CPU miner. I kind of tried to do some research on it, but I couldn't find a whole lot of anything. So, but it uses both CPU and the GPU. That's kind of it in terms of what people are using my rigs for. Most of them are priced all right. Some of them, they got rented before I was able to adjust the price more accordingly. So they're kind of locked in lower than what they should be. And I have my rental time at 2 weeks. But I'll go over all of that. Here are all the rigs that I have. I did set up a case of X8 5070s, but I had it at $6 and it did get picked up, but they were all using max wattage, and it was just got too hot and not really worth it in terms of like the cost, or like the price it got rented at versus using all the wattage. It didn't really make sense to me, so I just removed that one. But all these rigs I already have open in tabs. We can go over each of them, but I have had a lot of success in CLORE, but I also think it's mainly due to having Epics. I see a lot of 7945 HXs and 5070s, and they're not doing that great, I feel like, in terms of being rented out. If we do a new order, We'll just do 1 GPU and filter it down to 16. Like, there's some here, $1.75, which is all right, but I don't think it's that worth it necessarily to run them, especially if these are at the 250 watt power limit. That doesn't seem too worth it to me. But single Epic with 5070 Ti. This was one of the ones that got rented lower than it should have been, but it kind of is what it is. I'd rather be rented than not. So it's currently $280 a day. Once the timer runs out, hopefully it'll get rented at $350. And what I've been doing is setting a higher price and just waiting a few hours or like overnight to see if it gets rented, and if not, I'll drop the price by like 10 or 20 cents, and then hopefully you get picked up. So you kind of just have to monitor it and lower the price accordingly. This is just a single Epic, single 5070. This one is rented even lower. It was rented at like 2.8 at one point, so I thought that was pretty fair for the hardware that I am providing. The Dual 7B12 5090 is doing extremely well. I've locked up 26,000 or almost 26,000 CLORE, which is the little green bonus here, the MFP lock. And at tier 1 you get up to 100% bonus CLORE. It says lock up to 100% of the required stake, earn up to the server's rental price again. And I kind of just got that, but averaging, what is that, $850 a day or so, give or take. This was another one of the rigs, for example, that got rented at a lot lower price than I would have liked, which was $8 a day. But if it's renting consistently at $8, that's fine with me. So after this timer runs out in 128 hours, it'll jump up back to $11. And if I do get rented, great. If not, I'll start dropping the price until I do get rented. And $8 is kind of the minimum I would want. So yeah, and it's not using full wattage either, which is nice. I've had it rented before at like $11 and it was full wattage, and it's only 230 watts here. So moving on to 7V12 and 70 Ti. Another example of one that got picked up at 280 before I was able to adjust the price really. So this one I have set at 370 once the timer runs out, which is still a long ways away. But again, I'll just lower the price by like 10-cent increments until I get picked up again. That's kind of just been my strategy, and it's been working out pretty decent. And lowest for this that I would like would be $3, maybe $3.30, just because it is a 64 core and a 5070 Ti, but that's just preference stuff. These are the dual Epics with 5070s, just one. This one, another one, I mass onboarded this one, and it just got picked up immediately at 280, and I couldn't do anything about it. And I don't feel like that I should cancel the rent because it just wouldn't look good. So it's fine with me. I'm not too butthurt. This one I priced at $4 for after the timer ends, and I feel like that's quite fair for a dual Epic. You're having 96 cores and a 5070 available. This is the dual 7642, and this one actually, as you can see, got picked up at 330. So the other rig easily could have also been picked up at $3.30 per day, but it is what it is. Let's see, what's this one? Single 7K62 and dual 5070 picked up at $330. That's great. I feel like that's pretty fair. Once timer runs out, hopefully $4. If not, again, I'll drop it to like $390, $380. Keep going down until I get picked up. And around 330 is probably the minimum I would want, just in case they do decide to use all the wattage and all the CPU available to them. And then same thing, same exact rig. This one got picked up at just under $3, so fine with me again. Like, I'm not going to complain about having consistent rentals, and yeah, I'd rather just be rented than not, because mining anything right now is kind of trash. And what I've been doing to save wattage is actually, for all the rigs with GPUs, some of these I have to swap over, but this one here, I'm actually just running a Zephyr flight sheet just for CPU mining, so that way if I'm not rented, the GPUs are idle and using like 5 watts, and I'm not wasting it, or quote unquote wasting it on mining Zealous or Ergo or whatever the hell, and wasting power. And I think that's about it. I'm going to do a quick cut to the overview, because I don't think there's a good way to get there. This is the overview of my account. Daily revenue today is actually quite high, 30. This is the weekly 184 for my what is this, 8 rigs? Can't do math. 8 rigs. Very good, I would say. And monthly 355 or 354. These first few days, well, half of this was mostly 2 rigs of epics, and then I moved over my entire farm, because this was 2 days of 5090 being rented, and then I moved it to Octa. Didn't have much success. Moved back to CLORE, success, and then I just decided to move all of my rigs to CLORE. And as you can see, I'm averaging 22 to 21. Some days, if I'm not rented, 18, 24s, there's even 26s, and like today, 29. So I think it's very worth it. And I was actually talking to one of my buddies for the MFP lock here. I think it is very worth it to do on rigs that are being rented out for the highest price. So go and order 5090s first, which is like this one, and then probably from there I'll do my dual rigs, because they do seem to be rented higher, like 330 plus an extra happens to be like 11% for me for the 5090, so an extra 11%. That's pretty great. So I'm gonna start putting CLORE into these rigs and locking it up, especially my dual rigs, because they are getting rented at higher prices. So I'll just go in order of whichever rig gets rented highest. So this one, another one example. So, and it tells you tier 1, so I need 9900 CLORE. Lock that up. And yeah, I think it does increase gradually, but not as much. So once you hit tier 1, you get like that maximum number, which happens to be 11% for me. And then as you lock up more, I do think that percentage increases to until tier 2, but I don't think it's as steep of an increase in percentage. So it might be like a couple percent, and 98,000 CLORE is a lot to lock up. So I will just try to get all my rigs locked up to tier 1. And one of these, actually, I can try and find it. Let's see, which one was it? Oh, here it is. Yeah, I could not, it was on the right side here. So I actually had tier 1 locked on this rig, but it kind of iffy on if I was rented or not, and being inconsistently rented, like, it's not negative, but like you don't get the benefit of having a tier 1 bonus. So I decided to unlock the tier 1, and it will be locked for a week is what it is. So I unlocked it the 7th, and then a week later it'll be unlocked and go back into your account. But yeah, it'll go back into your account up here in the balance. So yeah, that's what I'll be working towards. I do plan to get another rig, but so far I've been really successful in Clore versus Octaspace. Not any shade against Octa, I just had no good luck, and probably due to my upload download speed, which is not great, but that's just what I have to work with. And if I consistently get rented on Clore at prices that I'm super happy with, I'd rather just do that. And yeah, I think that's about it. Mass onboarding is also super easy. You can follow their like article for it. You just do HiveOS. I think I did static and then calculate based on USD. I don't know why it doesn't let me scroll down. But once you set it up, you can do that. And then let's see. Yeah, so you do HiveOS, static, you do calculate based on USD and type in what you want. And then the option you want to do is keep CLORE.AI running even when mine are disabled. So that way you can run flight sheets in the background. It'll give you a pre-made flight sheet that you copy into HiveOS, and then you just run it as a miner, and it'll install the program or the hosting service. And if you run into any issues with installs, you definitely need to install git, so apt install -y git. And if you see this error about Docker issues, you have to install GPG, which I had to do in all my rigs. I just ran those commands first just to get them out of the way. But overall, it should be super easy install in terms of the mass onboarding stuff. So I've just kind of, you run those two commands, install, make sure git and GPG are installed, and then run them mass onboard, and you should have no problems. Just make sure your drivers are the ones you want, because you have to disable services to update your drivers and then re-enable them. It's kind of just a pain in the ass. So I run 570.169 on all of my rigs, and I've had 0 issues. Okay, that was quite a long video. Hopefully I made some sense with Clore and what my plans are for, or were for September and are for October. And I'm going to try to move some more GPUs around to get some more dual rigs going. I'd like to move the 70 Ti from this 7K62 down to the 7V12 and then run a dual 5070 Ti. Be able to hopefully charge more for it, and then throw dual 70s onto the 7K62. But I'm just waiting for the timers to run out before I like shut down the rig and make any changes. So I will see you guys in the next video.